I've got 250 pairs of eyes on me, and I can't breathe. I can't speak. My knees have buckled, and a tear streams down my cheek. This is a story about how the worst thing that happened to me that night became the best thing that happened to me for the next decade. Above all, this is a tale of what happens when we bury one old story and birth a brave new one. Let me take you back a couple of chapters into my life. We're in New York City, the city that never sleeps, in my favorite speakeasy with candelabras ablaze. I'm an advertising executive kicking ass in my mid-20s, and my client has just been diagnosed with cancer. So I'm taking him out for drinks, and we're sharing stories, and I'm telling him about backpacking through Cambodia and working at orphanages, and he turns to me and goes, "ViKA, you have got to do the moth." I'm like, "What's the moth?" He says, "Only like the coolest underground, most prestigious storytelling competition. It's like a couple hundred people, 10 storytellers, you got 5 minutes to tell a true life story." And I literally start cackling. I'm like, there is no way that I am getting on stage in front of a couple hundred people and telling a true story. You're crazy, Kyle. He says, "You do it every day in advertising. You always tell us stories." I'm like, "Yeah, a dozen people at a time is fine." And a couple months go by, and I have 2 more heartbreaks. My adopted mom dies of cancer. I break up with the man that I thought I was gonna marry. Kyle and I are checking in on each other. He goes, "Yo, did you do the moth?" And I was like, all right, Jewish guilt going hard. I am going tonight. I Google it, I look it up. I walk inside, there's 300 people in the middle of Soho that are sitting with bated breath, waiting for each storyteller to share their tale. And in a city where you feel totally invisible and disposable, this was nothing short of a holy experience. And so I walk out of there, and I start recording my first moth. And 2 weeks later, I'm on stage. And the theme is the crazy, traumatic experience of being raised by my spitfire of a Jewish Ukrainian woman, my mother. And so I open it up, and people are laughing so hard. I start with one of the greatest stories, which is when I needed high school pictures for the high school yearbook. And I go, "Ma, where are my baby pictures at?" And she screams down the stairs, "Oh, honey, you don't have any." And I run up the stairs. I'm like, "Mom, what are you talking about? We all have baby albums. My older sister has 2. She goes, "Yes, Valerie was a very beautiful child, but you were ugly baby. I didn't want proof." "Victoria, why are you crying?" "Oh, come on, this is stupid American bullshit. Don't cry." I am sobbing my eyes out. And if you open up class of 2004 in the AIS yearbook in a sea of baby photos, you will see my one odd toddler photo, forever commemorating my mother's unfailing dedication to vanity. So I go story after story, and at the very end, I turn and I say, "And to the one who will never hear her laugh, to my father who walked away, I just want to thank you." And in that moment, my knees buckle, and tears start falling down my face, and 250 pairs of eyes are staring at me, and I have to use every fiber of my being to pull myself back together and finish my story. And as I get off that stage, there is a rousing ovation. An old man comes and bear hugs me. And he's got tears in his eyes, and if you've ever seen an old man crying, you know it's bad. And he whispers in my ear, "My dad left too, but I don't talk about it. But something you said tonight, it hit me in my bones. Thank you." And before I can even say thank you, I'm being pulled over to this side by a group of young teenage girls and their high school teacher. They're on a field trip from Harlem. And the teacher says, "You had us laughing, you had us crying. All of my girls have experienced the abandonment wound in some way, shape, or form. Their fathers are either physically absent in jail or emotionally absent on the streets. What one piece of advice would you give to them?" And I said, "Don't let the story of your father be the prevailing narrative of your life. You have the power to change that story." Words that I had never said out loud, even inside myself. And so as I got out of there, I was walking home, and it hit me. It hit me so hard that this was the power of story, the universality of it all. That my pain is your pain, and that all of us have universal themes of pain and loss and love and triumph and tribulation. And it is only when we share those stories that we uncover the stories within ourselves. And so I put this little video on YouTube, and somebody reaches out to me on Facebook and says, "You're an electric storyteller. Will you teach at our workshop in Costa Rica?" I say yes. I've quit my job. I'm going around the world for 28 months in pursuit of perspective. I just wanted to study with masters. I had no desire to work. I took my entire life savings. And I started speaking at one conference, and then word of mouth through another and another. And 10 years later, I'm running a storytelling advisory called Brave New Story. And I get to work with some of my heroes, like world-class thinkers, working on ways for them to share their stories. Because what I know to be true is that when we say, "I want to be a great storyteller," we better mean it as more than just a top 10 hacks list. Because anything less is just putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. When you say that you want to be a powerful storyteller, it's because when you share your story, you open up a portal into the other person. And as leaders, the only way that you're going to persuade somebody to do anything ever is through the power of story. Steve Jobs said, "The most powerful person in the room is the storyteller, for they hold the vision and values of the entire generation." And I think the great myth of storytelling is that we focus so much on the stories we tell the world, we forget that it begins with the stories we tell ourselves. Thank you so much, Mr. Awesome, for highlighting that. Because until you have alignment with your inner narratives to your outer narratives, until you really understand that it's about the inner game meeting the outer game, then everything you say will lose the one thing you need to make an impact: authenticity. We can smell bullshit a mile away. And you know what it feels like to listen to a story when somebody doesn't even believe it themselves. So the most impactful thing that you can do in your storytelling is to be sincere, is to open a door so that somebody else can step forward. Because conscious storytelling, becoming aware of the stories that you believe, that you craft, and that you tell, is the way to paradigm-shifting change. And so I leave you with this. Storytelling is not what we do. It's who we are. Take it seriously.